they were there to protest. They weren't going to allow the Makah people to do what was rightfully their tradition. This is one whale, maybe 2 whales a year to feed a nation. But the Greenpeace folks, or the folks that were part of Greenpeace that were there that day, they couldn't figure that out because we hadn't made the connections. This is so imperative that we reach out to one another and understand what it means to connect to one another, what it means to be white in this country, what it means to be a person of color in this country. The Makah people did wail. They did bring the whale to the beach, and there was a big feast, and their tradition carried on to this day. But they had to fight to claim that. But the white environmentalist folks really just didn't get that. I want to tell just one more story. This summer, we had the privilege as Unoccupied to be invited to come to the Pine Ridge Reservation because there's a group called the Deep Green Resistance, which has been working with the Lakota women of the Pine Ridge. And the Lakota women said, what we want is to shut down White Clay, which is a town that serves alcohol. It makes millions of dollars a year. And it's only 2 miles from the reservation, which the reservation does not allow alcohol because this is killing us, right? And so it was purposely put this town where people could walk there and get alcohol and walk back to the reservation. And so there's violence perpetrated all the time because of the alcohol. And the alcohol, just all the issues around alcohol are happening because of this White Clay. And so the Lakota women said, we want to shut this down. We want to block the road, keep these beer trucks from coming in. And Deep Green Resistance was like, yeah, let's do this. We're with you. And so this was an unusual revolutionary action, I thought. And this is just my opinion. Because a few years before that, the Lakota people had gone to White Clay and tried to shut it down, and they were brutalized. The forces that be, the military, the sheriff, the county sheriff, the police, all of them came in, and people were beaten, jailed, and brutalized. Didn't hit a paper in the country. So this time, Lakota women were leading it. They were saying how it was going to happen. And Deep Green Resistance and Unoccupied came in under their leadership. And white folks went out and locked down across that road. White folks put their body in harm's way where our bodies have been all our lives. Well, it was just a long day of negotiation. I don't know what happened to all the forces that be, but all of a sudden we had to negotiate. And on that particular day, remind me, there were no arrests that day. There were no arrests that day. And it's because it was all white folks sitting up there. Right? But it made news. And it was a great action because it was shared power, led by Lakota women and white folks putting themselves on the line. Now, maybe it doesn't have to happen that way every time. Maybe that's not the scenario for every action. But that one in particular was great because it was revolutionary. It was revolutionary. And I was honored to be a part of it. So I think these things are key for us to consider. And I don't want to take too much time, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. But I want us to ask questions of ourselves. You know, we come to these gatherings and we sit in our circles and we talk, and it's time for us, if we want revolution, true revolution, to ask the hard questions. Like, what is solidarity? If you are my white oppressor, how can I have solidarity with you? Can I have solidarity with you? Because we do our action or we sit in this room and we walk out of this room and the people of color are still people of color. And y'all are white and you still have the white privilege. So can I have solidarity with you? What does solidarity mean? We have to ask ourselves that. And are you, as a white person, willing to challenge the privileges that you are offered and given in this society? Because you're going to have to do that for us to work together. You're going to have to. And it's going to have to be challenged over and over and over again. It's not just a once-off. Can you do that to be my ally? Do you want to do that? Do you want to be my ally? I can't answer that for you. Another question I think that we should ask ourselves, I'm deciding whether some of these questions I should ask.
Ask.
If you seek solidarity with people of color, you have to change. You have to change. You know, good liberal white folks, they want us all to come up here and be equal with them. But that's not the way it works. You have to give something up. You gotta give something up. And then the scale starts to move like this. Then we become equal. What are you willing to give up? What kind of white privilege in this society, in this country, at this time, are you willing to give up? Now that's a lot about white folks. But what about us as people of color? What about our internalized oppression? What are we doing to work on our internalized oppression? What are we doing to make the connections? Palestina is no different than the reservations that were put on here. We're connected. There is a group of indigenous people in Brazil, and I'll just end with this, which I was stunned, I cried when I read about them. The government has been taking and taking and taking, and of course this is U.S. backed. It's important to understand that this colonization is going on all over the world, and it is U.S. backed. This government. So they've been taking and taking and taking their land. Now they're down to this little piece. And so the government wants more because there's minerals and things on their land, right? So they said, come on, bring your bulldozer, dig a big hole, because we are going to die with our ancestors. We are going to die on our ancestral land. You are going to kill us and you're going to put us in that grave. We're not leaving our land. That is deep. They would rather die than leave their ancestors. The U.S. government, if you remember nothing else I say today, I would ask you to remember this. The U.S. government and its militarized regime is neither natural or inevitable. The U.S. government and its militarized regime is neither natural or inevitable. We must resist with honor, dignity, and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amalia. As you can all see, you know the reason why we invited Amalia. Quite the amazing speaker, and it's not because of anything other than she speaks from her heart, and I really do appreciate that. Up next, we have Sam English. go ahead and talk to everybody here about his experiences and some of his viewpoints. And after Sam, we'll have Bethany, and then we can open up for questions and answers.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. Everybody here to listen and learn?
Yeah.
I know Sam is over there. He's an old Indian guy, didn't learn anything. I want to thank Joel and the crew here for inviting me to come up and speak a little bit about my experiences in the world of American Indian affairs people. It's always exciting to be able to impart, hopefully, information that makes you more aware of the tragedy of the American Indian people, who started in 1492 and still going on. Death is still going on. Never stopped. Our Holocaust is still going on, never talked about. Treaty rights are broken every day, never talked about. American Indian civil liberties are, we confront the police all the time. You know, state police, city police, county police, goes on. I'm 70 years old. You know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I sobered up on December 10th of 1981. I took my first drink at the age of 14. My parents are not alcoholic. My dad worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs for 35 years, retired. My mother was a nurse. I come from basically a middle-class family, you know, and my parents expected me to move right into the Bureau of Indian Affairs, I guess. Go to college, get a degree, and become a bureaucrat so I could tell Indians how to live. When to eat, when to go to the bathroom, what time to go to bed, keep your mouth shut, listen to me, because that's what they do. That's exactly what they've done since 1492, since this government formed, and put us on reservation, took away our land, our assets, everything. We have nothing today, really. We don't own any reservation, they do. We have no economic development. We have to get permission from them, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It's a horrible situation. You know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I sobered up in 1981, at the age of 39, always wanting to be an artist. And I sobered up on December 10th, and by January 1st, 1982, without any money, I rented a shop in Old Town and didn't know how the hell I was going to pay for it. You know, I built that gallery down there in Old Town for 14, 15 years of my life, and I built a career because I did it. If I'd asked the BIA for any economic development money and their expertise, I wouldn't have never had a gallery, or I would have never become an artist, because those guys destroy everything. You know, I did it because I had the desire and the push, and I could prove to myself that I did it. I sobered up after 25 years of drinking. You know, I grew up here in the Southwest. I'm Chippewa Indian, Ojibwe. The real word is Anishinaabe, the people. And I've enrolled with the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians, the Turtle Mountains of North Dakota, and my dad's enrolled Red Lake Chippewa Indian from Red Lake, Minnesota, northern Minnesota. So that's my identity. I am an American Indian. I'm not a Native American. We're all Native Americans. You know, the BIA coined that term, and we fell for it. Of course, we fall for everything. I don't know why. Even our academics, PhDs, everybody, they all think they're somebody, Indian. Hell, they're no better than me, or you, or anybody else, but they all think because they have these academic achievements, they forget about us, the people. You know, I've had great upward mobility careers with Indian Health Service out of Rockville, Maryland, at central office, BIA at the area office. and I got to see what happened to Indian people from those two positions, health and the BIA. You know, and I didn't like it. And I didn't get along with those people. I'm an American Indian person. I believe in Indian people. You know, and I still do. You know, I support American Indian people. I'm not a proponent of BIA or Indian Health Service at all. They don't tell you anything about us. Well, you mention that. We have the highest deaths for alcohol, drugs, violence, issues. Teen suicide is crazy in this country, but you never hear about it. Teen suicide. You know, diabetes. Now we have the onslaught of cancer. Indian Health Service, BIA, they're both about fourth rate. Education, BIA provides education about fourth rate, they're at the bottom. And we allow that to happen. And I don't know why. What the hell are we afraid of? You know, and I sit and I ponder that a lot. You know, the estimated population of American Indian people in this country in 1492 can go anywhere from 15 million to 80 million people. In 1960, when I graduated from high school, the population, the enrolled population of American Indian people in this country was 250,000. And at that time, I never thought much about it. I didn't know anything about Indians because they didn't allow my parents or anybody to talk about who we are or what happened. By the age of 39, I knew that millions and millions and millions of us were slaughtered. Yeah, a few of us died from smallpox, starvation, whatever. But a majority of us were slaughtered, taken out. You know, and before I forget, I want to mention it. I want to thank Rosa Parks for not giving up that front seat on the bus. That white guy. I want to thank those Indians that died at the Sand Creek Massacre by a Colorado militia led by Colonel Shevington, who was a Baptist preacher, and his militia was drunk and killed about 200 plus Indians. Men, women, infants, elders, adults, slaughtered them all. And cut body parts out of women and paraded them through Denver. I want to thank and appreciate those Indians that were slaughtered at Wounded Knee. That date's coming up. By the United States Cavalry, 7th Cavalry. 200 or 300 Indians were slaughtered. They're the same people, infants, elders, adults, teens, with howitzers and Gatling machine guns after they took our weapons away, Chief Bigfoot. And these people were on their way to Pine Ridge to settle in because they had surrendered. These are the things that I hear about, and I'm an activist, you know, I'm an artist, I go around, I support Indian people in recovery around the country, and I begin to hear stories about different tribes, even Bishop, California, how they were marched in July to Paiute, from Bishop to Yuma, in July. You know, that's not in any books. Hell, our history is not in the history books. Because they don't want you to know what the hell they did to us. And that pisses me off. But I have to keep the same mind because I can't take retribution. That's not what this is about. It's about healing. It's about taking responsibility for what happened to us in a good way so that our people can recoup and move forward in 2012 and forward. The 10th generation, my friend Linda and I were talking about that today. That's the next generation coming up to lead that way for us and not be afraid to stand up for their integrity and their right to be an American Indian. You know, we can't expect our tribal leaders to do anything because they don't. All they do is put their hand out to the BIA in D.C. and take the money and think they're somebody. Shit, they're nobody. Their people are drinking themselves to death, slaughtering each other. You know, it's a really drastic situation that you never hear about. Our professors don't talk about it because they're somebody, I guess. What they don't know is that they may live up in the northeast side of some fancy neighborhood, and if somebody goes over to look for them, they'll look for the Eagle family, they ask the white family, they're gonna say, oh, you mean the Indian family living down the street? I'm gonna say the Eagle family. Yeah, if it's a white family, they say, oh, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Richardson. But for us Indians, oh, you mean the Indians living down the street? One with the big red Cadillac out in front. I get so amazed. I've worked at UCLA back in 1968, 69, setting up the American Indian Studies program, Native Studies. I worked there, I didn't even have a degree, because I've been kicked out of colleges, universities for being a damn drunk, not studying and raising up. In those days, it was fun. I didn't know I was going to end up drunk. But in 1968, when I moved out to the Bay Area, it was about 1964, I became totally aware. Well, my journey started becoming aware of who I was. We would sit, there were 3 of us Indians at University of San Francisco who would sit and share coffee between the dorms, and all the Arab flags would be on this side and the Israeli flags were on this side. We'd sit there and say, geez, what the hell, who are we? And one of them went on to become an activist in South Dakota with Donna Gilbert. My other friend, Ramon Billy, was a Pomo Indian. He passed away a few years ago. So, I'm still here. I gotta tell you, none of my friends that I graduated from high school up in the community I grew up in, Indian, white, and Chicano, are dead because of alcoholism. But we, Indians, oh yeah, drunken Indians. It's all the drunken Indians, barbarian savages. Don't want to work, too lazy to do anything. I've been in sobriety for, 30 years. We started an American Indian meeting of the International National Recovery Group of Recovering Alcoholics in my old gallery in Old Town. We started a national convention here that's going to be its 20th year, and we have 500 Indians, and non-Indians that show up at that event. 20th year. We have an Indians in Sobriety camp out. We just finished our 26th year. We're in Sells, Arizona. I've seen Indians walk into these meetings, sober up, off the streets, sober up, and go back to college and get a degree, and a master's degree, law degree, PhD. And they call us drunken Indians. We have to stand up for who we are as American Indian people, our integrity. We have to be smart and vocal about it and not let things die. I spent 30 years of my life in recovery, helping Indian people. We've done, I don't know, 90 images for American Indian programs. Healing programs, education, gaining, trying to help Indian people develop an attitude about being a positive American Indian individual, and to have an attitude of gratitude about being that and being somebody. My first exposure to civil rights was out in Washington, D.C. during the Poor People's Campaign in 1968. 2 months after Martin Luther King was assassinated. What a group of people, 300,000 people in front of Lincoln Memorial. We had a Leda Ponca woman give a talk, and that place went wild. Of course, today I know about Abraham Lincoln. He hung 38 of them, executed 38 of us in Mankato, Minnesota. The only American Indian president to issue that kind of order, mass execution. And everybody thinks he's a great guy. You know what? I want to hear I want to hear people talk about that before I think about what a great guy he is. I know he freed the slave. I know that. We didn't get freed. Indians, we're still incarcerated out there on the red. And I mean, we're incarcerated. We don't talk about the historical trauma, what happened to us. You know, the blacks in South Africa can talk about apartheid using the term reconciliation, but we can't. I used to go out and give national talks. I had the FBI after me because I was a main guy. I sobered up, and guess who invites me out to DOJ in DC? Guess who gives me an award? Janet Reno. It was kind of fun because I said, you know, not too long ago you guys were after me because I guess I was a rebel rouser. I never carried a gun. I got a little pocket knife between my fingernails. And I speak out. Does that make me a militant or whatever? I'm telling you, they were after us, and they could have, you know, one time Clyde Delford from AIM and I were riding around in Minneapolis, and this undercover car drove up to us. There's four white guys sitting in there, and they rolled the window down, and they said, the guy yelled, and he said, hey, Clyde, we're watching you. So we drove away, and I told Clyde, you know, it would take much for them to pick us up and dump us in the Missouri River, and nobody'd ever know. That's what we were up against. There weren't very many Indian activists. You know, and there still aren't. We like to go get drunk and die in an alley because it's same. I don't want Indians doing that anymore. I want us to stand up, be strong, be proud of who we are. I want us to take responsibility for who we are. Our education, our family, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, so that they can grow up with integrity and want to be somebody. We're not even a part of 2012. We don't have any money. Oh yeah, people say, oh yeah, we got casinos, bullshit. Tribes keep their own money. And a lot of them have to pour it back into their tribe for infrastructure because the government doesn't give us enough money to take care of any of that. They give you enough to just appease you a little bit. That's all. Most of us are unemployed, drunk, beating up people, beating up our wives, dying in an alley somewhere. You know, and we don't need to do that stuff anymore. You know what? I think it's so important for us to begin to acknowledge that and for us to join and support each other. We can't do this by ourselves. We need people, tribes, we need to stick together. The other thing I want to finish with is we have an Albuquerque Indian Center that we started 30 years ago. I helped the Indian elders put together. We went to City Hall, to state. We're talking about elders who are retired, own property, pay taxes, served in the armed forces, voted. City Hall used to listen to us. So they helped us start an Indian Center. It's up there. Well, a few years ago, we got cooed out by some wannabes who we allowed to join because I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, they're not an Indian, you look white. How can I say that? You know, you might be a fourth Indian, and that might be your identity. I can't, anyway, these non-Indians kicked the real Indians off. And they took the board over. Then they had an Indian guy from Oklahoma, Kai Tecumseh, who hired a Hispanic lady as the executive director. And the first time the Indians in the Indian Center burned some stage to have a spiritual thing, she thought they were burning the damn building down. A Hispanic lady running the Albuquerque Indian Center. I guess we're not capable of doing it, and we have a guy, Kai Tecumseh, doesn't care about us. An Indian. They have people on their board that aren't Indian, they're white. And no Indians in this town will help take that back. Nobody. We sit around and let that happen, oh well. And it was the Albuquerque Indian elders that made a commitment to do that, put that center together with the support of the mayor and the city council. Today, we can't even get this mayor. Indians live in this town? Oh, what, the cops are beating them up? Beating up who? Who the hell are they? What are they doing here? The Reds is up there, the Pueblo. They don't support us. This mayor doesn't give a shit. You know, I wonder about it all sometimes, and I think, geez, where can I go to? Where can I move to? But I gave that up because I'm waiting for that red flying saucer to come down from the red planet and say, pick you up, take you back. Right, Sam? I'm pissed off because they dropped us off here in the first place. You know, it's good to be here. I too don't want to upset anybody. You know, because we all need each other. I don't care what color we are. Black, white, pink, purple, hell, I don't care. We need each other. You know, and this country's in a mess. It's in a mess. And nobody says anything hardly. And a lot of, you know, you can watch the nightly news and they'll show people trying to get jobs. Hell, there's white guys standing in the women, PhDs, master's degrees, 40 degrees, can't get a job. And you drive through the city, you look at all these churches, hell, they're vacant. And we got a whole bunch of people sleeping down the streets. What the hell are they about? I think I read where, what, 2,000 high school or school students don't have a place to sleep. In this town. Geez, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I drove by a big mega church up there and it's all empty tonight, I suppose. Everybody sleeps outside. You know. It's just amazing to me how things are in this country. Who the hell are these people anyway? You know, and that tribe in Brazil, I've read about them. You know, what they don't understand is American Indian spirituality. We know death is just one thing, but we're coming back. Not for revenge, for love, support, supporting people in the community. You know, racism is a bunch of crap. You know, and I was happy for the Palestinians finally. You know, I seen those people suffering. I can relate to them because I know what happened to us. You know, when we think about the hardship in this country, you want an answer, ask an Indian. We'll tell you what this country can do to you. Because they did it to us and they're still doing it to us. The CDC, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Indian Health Service, don't like guys like me talking about what happened to us. They think that's not healing. Well, I'm here to tell you that we have to heal. And we need to talk about historical trauma, alcohol, drugs, violence, the whole 9 yards. Because we want to heal. It's not about pointing fingers at DC and all that crap. It's about taking responsibility and healing and moving forward in a good way. And with that, I want to say I love you all and care about you, and I hope everybody succeeds in their own way. And if you get a chance, say a prayer for Leonard Peltier. Oh, I don't know about my buddy Che Guevara. I love it, you know. I love all those people that made a commitment to help people. And all they did was get slammed and killed. And there's no reason for that. And I'm going to go eat. I'm hungry. Please.
So I guess now everybody knows why we invited Sam. Our last, well, not our last speaker. Our last featured speaker of the night is going to be Bethany Woody. She's going to show you some knowledge about water rights.
Hi, how's everybody doing tonight? Good. Good.
How are you?
Good. A little nervous for this whole thing. Yeah, like Joel said, my name is Bethany Woody. I just wanted to thank all of y'all for showing up tonight. It means a lot to us knowing that there's so many people out there that really care about issues and the situation that we happen to find ourselves in. I'm currently a student at CNM, sorry, where I'm studying to be a mechanical engineer. I'm also an activist with the Answer Coalition. For those of you who aren't familiar, Answer stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. I've been involved with the coalition for about 1.5 years now. Through my involvement with the Answer Coalition, we have been involved in a number of different issues and struggles, which Joel mentioned earlier. I'm here today to talk about something that affects not only my people, but almost every indigenous and colonized people of the Americas, and that issue is water rights. Since I am Navajo, I felt it would be most appropriate for me to talk about the recent water rights struggles that have been occurring on the Navajo Nation. Earlier this year, Arizona Senators Jon Kyl and John McCain, both Republicans, introduced the Navajo-Hopi Little Colorado River Settlement Act of 2012, also known as SB 2109. What this settlement essentially entails is in exchange for 3 new water delivery systems on the reservation, both the Navajo Nation and the Hopi tribe will waive their claims to the Little Colorado River. To understand what this means, we must first understand the difference in what constitutes a water right and what constitutes a water claim. Water rights are defined as a group of rights designed to protect the use and enjoyment of water that travels in systems via river, lakes, ponds, gathers on the surface of the earth, or collects underground, i.e. the right to access that water. While a claim is a legal action to obtain money, property, or the enforcement of a right against another party, water in this case. As part of the settlement, the Navajo and Hopi people will not be losing any rights to the water of the Colorado River. Instead, they will be waiving their rights to any further claims for that water. It is important to also note that the settlement, if the settlement is approved, the waiver is permanent. So if these nations are put into a situation where they need water, say 100, 200, 500 years in the future, that option's not going to be on the table for them. Supporters of SB 2109 have argued that it is in the best interest of the Native people. However, there is an overwhelming number of both Navajos and Hopis that strongly disagree. One of the biggest advocates for the settlement is none other than the president of the Navajo Nation, Ben Shelley. On April 5th, Shelley announced that Senator Kyl and Senator McCain requested a meeting on the issue behind closed doors. In an email to the Navajo Times, Shelley stated, the senators, asked for this meeting. In respect for their wishes, we are honoring their request for a private meeting. I know how important water is to our people and hope that the people will allow the leaders to interact with one another. Shelley was also adamant about the Navajo people needing to be informed on the issue, and that in his role as a leader, that he needed to make sure that the people understood what the bill means. If Shelley really cared about the people, what does he have to hide behind closed doors for? And more importantly, why would he need to hide behind a wall of Navajo Nation police officers to address a crowd of his people after that meeting with the 2 senators? The reason is because his alignments are not really with the people of the Navajo Nation. Instead, Shelley's only alignments are with the imperialist government he was in close negotiations with. He is part of the same institution that wants to exploit Native peoples for their land, for cheap access to resources, water, electricity, and more importantly, money. How is it that a person can be put into a position of leadership while facing criminal charges for unlawfully using the people's money for personal gain? Despite the charges such as conspiracy, fraud, and theft which were filed, Shelley was found not guilty and was sworn in as president of the Navajo Nation in January of 2011. Yet the working class people of the Navajo Nation can be arrested for protesting a settlement that would directly influence their families and the communities for generations to come. Shelley also denied an interview with the Times and denied that there are any official transcripts of the town hall meetings that were available to the public. He has also used underhanded tactics in hiring a PR firm behind the backs of many in his own administration to flood media outlets with advertising in support of the settlement. This is just an all too familiar occurrence with politicians whose true interests are not with working people. You can see it in tribal government all the way up to the federal government. On the other side of the struggle, there are forces that are organizing in an attempt to stop the settlement from being approved. Public outcry against the bill was an overwhelming theme in the town hall meetings throughout the nation. The meetings were held by Navajo Nation water rights commissions, where a PowerPoint presentation was given, followed by an extensive question and answer session. Not to mention there was almost always an overflow of citizens that could not get into the meetings itself and were forced to wait in the parking lots until space was available. It makes it hard for anybody to deny the concerns of the public when that kind of involvement is expressed. What is more impressive is despite the tribal government's efforts to gain popular support for the bill, the meetings seemed to do the opposite. People found themselves to be united in their feelings of mistrust of the government's motives to push the bill forward. A mistrust of the federal government and all those who support it is nothing new. Historically, the Native people of this country have time and time again witnessed firsthand the injustices that have been perpetrated against them by the federal government, be it in the dishonoring of countless treaties, genocide of millions, stealing of land, and now hoarding of resources. One woman expressed her discontent for Senator Kyle acting as a champion for the Navajo people. She said that the Navajo Nation has its own lawyers, engineers, and hydrologists, which can contribute to a third and different option to the proposed settlement. It is very important, this is a very important and a very valid statement. Every day, normal Navajo people should be the ones that have the final say-so, not just on this issue, but every issue that affects the Navajo Nation. We should not have to pander to some politician in hopes that they will do what is right and find that in the goodness of their own hearts. If we want something to be done, we must take a stand and fight for it. A number of other activists have stated that it is not about being anti-settlement, yet it is as simple as doing what is going to be in the best interest of the Navajo people. They believe that there is a better alternative to the current settlement and that the Navajo people must take it upon themselves to decide what that is. When the question of sovereignty and the right to self-determination comes into play, it is not just important that people be aware and informed of the situation, it is absolutely essential. The people carry the power and responsibility, not politicians. The politicians are put into those positions to serve the people and do what is in their best interest. Another example of why President Shelley is not concerned with the people of the Navajo Nation. The youth on the reservation has also played an important role in opposing SB 2109. Serrano Riggs of Next Indigenous Generation gave a statement to the Navajo Times that said, quote, "Our vision for the future includes a just transition away from the coal-based economy, a diverse and sustainable economy based on traditional values and true self-sufficiency for the Navajo people. We will sign these things away if we agree to the settlement." Riggs also stated that the tribal government must start listening to the youth of the Navajo Nation, considering that the median age on the Navajo Nation is 24 years old. Riggs' comment holds a lot of weight. The young people of the Navajo Nation are going to be the ones that have to deal with the consequences of the decisions made by politicians for years to come. The bottom line here is if the people of the Navajo Nation and the Hopi tribe do not want to agree to the Navajo Hopi Little Colorado Settlement Act of 2012, that is their right. Regardless of what politicians and government officials think and say, the responsibility for ensuring the future of the Navajo Nation, the Navajo people, and the Navajo culture falls directly in the hands of the people themselves. Deciding to stand up for what is right and let our voices be heard is going to be the determining factor in the struggle for our people. We come from a long, extensive, and proud line of resistance against the ills that the federal government has repeatedly tried to stack against us. It started as soon as the first Europeans landed on this continent over 500 years ago. It has since continued almost unchecked up until the time they sent our great-grandparents, grandparents, and parents to boarding schools in an all-out attempt to wipe our culture off the face of the planet. It continues today in the form of exploiting our lands and labor for the benefit of the ruling class. The time has come that we need to join together, not just Native communities, but all oppressed people around the world, and say enough is enough. We refuse to accept this treatment and that we are capable of governing ourselves and keeping our people's best interests at the heart of decision making. Because after all, who is better at keeping the interest of the community alive than the people that live and work in those communities every day? In closing, again, I just want to thank y'all for coming out, and I hope y'all will take something away from this forum. I hope we planted a seed in someone out there that will flourish into the desire to fight for the people and the community. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna open up the floor for questions and answers. But before we do that, I'd like to remind everybody to go ahead and sign up on our email list. That way you can keep updated on our various events that we have planned, whether it's a protest or an action or otherwise. And I'd also like to encourage you to please put some money in a donation bucket that we're passing around. We can't do any of these events without paying fees, whether it's renting this room, equipment such as sound and whatnot, and as well as like printing out literature and also food and refreshments and so on and so forth. These things are really important, and we encourage everybody to help us help you by donating. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor now. Please just raise your hand to speak and try to keep your remarks to 2 minutes so that everybody has an opportunity to speak. I know we have a lot to say, but there's a lot of people here that have things to say, not just our own selves. Go ahead.
So my question is for the panel, and I'm interested to know what is your perspective on decolonization? What does it look like, and what are some examples maybe you can give on how you think that maybe happened?
Do each one of the speakers want to?
Can you repeat the questions?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and repeat the question. I think I have. So the question was, what are the panelists' perspectives on decolonization and how? What are examples? And what does it mean? What does it look like? Do each one of the panelists want to do it one by one, or just somebody? I guess whoever wants to answer that question can do it.
Well, I would say that
You're gonna have to pass the mic, or pass it. You can pass it.
Wow. Now we have power. We don't want that. We don't know. Again, this is my view. We don't know what decolonization looks like. We were not colonized before we came. And now that we've been colonized, you know, we don't know what it looks like after that. We do have an ancestral memory of what it looks like before that. And so I think that we can call on that and try and recreate that. And I also hope that we as tribes and as indigenous people all over the world are trying to envision that and bring that vision back and live it. That's the key. We have to start doing things to live it, which is a different structure than what the U.S. government certainly has set up. It's a more issue of shared power. That would just be my thought.
You know, there are indigenous people from around the world that have suffered the consequences of colonization, and I think we all share the same experience, you know, the drastic conditions that we exist under. We don't know where that's going to go. You know, in the future, unless people begin to stand up, young people, Indian people, indigenous people, everybody supporting this initiative, because there's nobody in the world better than anybody else, even though they think so. You could have all the goddamn money you want, you're still going to go the same place we're all going to go in the end.
Almost every day.
6 feet under. And if you can take $1 million down there, or $1 billion, and bury it with you, good luck. I don't know what you can do with it. You know, but for me, it's the now and the future. What happens now, how we deal with it, how we deal with the future, and the young people that are going to support the initiative of supporting we all living in peace and harmony and enjoying education and jobs and whatever, because that's what it's about. I don't see any universes or planets fighting each other. Just a bunch of dumb human beings. I'm just kidding.
In addition to that, I just want to say that, you know, it's true with, you know, my fellow panelists have said that it is, you know, we don't know what that looks like. And I think from here, the only thing that we can really do as people is to unite under the premise of wanting a better future and fighting for it and standing up for that right. And we'll see what happens.
Sam, and then I think part of that would look like, that would be the step in the right.
How are you?
Oh, my name is Sam. I'm an alcoholic. Wrong meeting. I'm a Pawnee Sac-a-Fox from Oklahoma. My name is Sam Gardepee, and I grew up in this town. I left many years ago, and then I came back. I've been involved in the American Indian movement for many years. I've been involved in alcoholism, student movements, sobriety movements, spirituality. But I'd like to say that one step in the right direction, I think, would be for the U.S. government to recognize tribes as individual governments, and then deal with us on that basis, you know, like they deal with France and England and Spain. And sure, they'd have to deal with, you know, 500 tribes within the nation, but what they need to do, and another thing, is to apologize. The U.S. government needs to apologize to every indigenous nation in this country first. And then we can go and be, you know, a nation again. Because that's what we were. I mean, we were all individual nations before the white man was here. And I'd also like to touch on what Sam said earlier. You know, we live in this town that used to be, you know, quite an activist town for natives. Back when I was growing up here, I was 17 years old. In '73, we marched down central here, from UNM, in support of the occupation of Wounded Knee. And there must have been probably a 3-4 mile long of Indians marching. And so I don't know where that spirit went. You know, we have NIYC, which Sam was a part of. They did a lot of things for natives. We used to have a Kiva Club here at UNM, and they were once upon a time in the forefront of activism, and I don't know whatever happened to them. So, yeah, so, I mean, do we have anybody here from there? You know, I mean, it's like, okay. So, my philosophy is that this town needs a movement, a native movement. And we have non-Indians running the Indian Center. We have a non-Indian that runs a national powwow. And he makes thousands and thousands of dollars. The guy's not even Indian. And that's his full-time job. You know, all he does is raise money for national powwow. And I don't know, like Sam said, we just sit around and let that happen. You know, why? Why is that happening? We're not doing anything, that's why. We need to get active again. But like Sam, I'm an old guy too, you know. You know. So, okay. I'm not on the panel, so I'll be quiet.
Just to let you know, Sam here was actually at every single planning meeting for this event and was really instrumental in bringing this all together. So, I mean, we'd like to thank Sam for that. And we had a question over here on this side, and then we have another question over here.
What position is our soon-to-be Senator Bingaman, not Bingaman, Heinrich, on this bill coming up in?
Really sure. It's more
I
so
mean,
on the Arizona
people need to
side.
go to him and, shake him up.
So the question was the question that was asked was what position does our Senator Bingaman, you said?
No, I meant
Heinrich? Heinrich? Okay. What position does Senator Heinrich have on the water rights issue?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. In all my research, there was never any questions brought up for, the senators of New Mexico never really played a pivotal role in this, being is that this bill was brought into the state Congress in Arizona. So even though, we share the borders of the Navajo Nation, more so it's about Arizona. Yeah, and the little Colorado River doesn't run through New Mexico.
That just brings something up when you ask that question. During the election, all the people running for office in this state and in the country, I never heard them talk about Indians at all. Not one. Nobody said, hey, how the Indians doing? You need help? Shit, no, they didn't say anything. And we allow that to happen. We allow that to happen. And I feel sorry for the Hopis and Navajos, because if they don't agree with those senators from Arizona, they can start cutting their money.
Okay, question over here.
It's not so much of a question, it's just, I'm Sam Amos Jr., I'm Sam's son. The thing is what I was curious about is, I just moved from Red Lake, Minnesota. And the thing about it is my dad brought up a lot of issues about, our people don't really, they don't talk, we don't say anything, and you guys have a program here which you guys are trying to build on and trying to help our people, and the thing about it is reservation people don't talk about nothing, they don't ask for nothing, they don't want nothing to do with you, and if you are white, they don't want nothing to do with you. That's the bottom line. And the thing is because there's trust issues. I lost a lot of friends up there. Alcohol, drug abuse, suicide. We have youth that committed suicide. We have, and I can't speak for all the reservations because I didn't live there. I wanted to learn where my grandfather was from. So I went back to Red Lake, and the thing is I saw a lot of things that we don't, they don't hit the newspapers and we don't talk about. The thing is okay, you guys got programs and stuff here, and you guys want to try to get involved and stuff. How are you going to try to get involved with the people on the reservation and help them open up if we're sitting here in a room like this, and I'm not trying to be rude or mean, sitting here trying to work out solutions, and yet we're not even up there trying to talk to them and ask them what's going on. Because like Dad said, I saw what the council, the leaders and all them were doing to our people. And like he said, they are watching our people drink their lives away, and they don't give a shit. They put the money in their pockets, you know, and the sovereignty or the having no money, you know, surviving on poor health benefits, surviving on food stamps, you know. Them guys, that's what they depend on every day. Every single day of the month, they depend on those things to be there for them. Because there is no jobs, there is no, you know, you guys talk about getting active and being a participant, doing things for these people, and it's not just Minnesota, Montana, you know, all these tribes in the United States, we're not even trying to get involved on the reservation. That's where we need to get involved, is on the reservation. You know, it just hurts, it bothers me. It does bring tears to my eyes, because I saw it. I lost friends. I lost friends that were dear to me. You know, and I saw 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds committing suicide, hanging themselves. You know, I saw molestation. Youth, our youth daughters, our little ladies up there being molested. You know, being raped. You know, that ever having a chance to ever have children. What do? You know, we can sit here in a room and talk about it, and I'm not, again, I'm not trying to be rude, but if we don't get out there and get active and get involved in it, then nothing's ever going to get done. It's another word, it's another broken word. You know, it's just words, they're just words. It's being active and getting out there and doing what's necessary. I think that's what needs to be done, and that's what I went back home to do. But I was alone. And when I spoke, nobody listened, you know. And then when I did hear people complain about, well, you know what, they're not doing this, we're not getting this, we're not doing this, and I said, well, stand up and let's do something about it. No. Too many swamplands, too much swamp out there, and a lot of people disappear in the swamps. A lot of death, there's a, you know, so they live by what their leaders want them to live by. And the thing is nobody's going to say nothing. Again, it's about jumping up and getting involved, jumping on that horse and riding that horse to the end. You know, they always talk about, oh, that horse, you know, when the guy's leaning down the end of the trail, that's bullshit. I don't like that. I think, you know what, we need to continue on. This is, you know, like Dad said, you know, this is the beginning of our lives. Let's start moving on and start doing something for our people. And doing something for each other, not just, it's, you know, like I said, it's not about race, color, creed. It's about taking care of one another. And the thing about it, like they said, our council people are putting money in their pockets and they don't care about our kids, our youth. There is no education. There is no food. Our housing is poor on the res. It's poor. That's basically all I wanted to say. It's not, you know, I'm sorry I gotta go. I got my grandkids that wait for me. You know, and that was the most important thing for me is my grandkids. You know, and it was a blessing to have my dad speak. Thanks for letting me share a little bit. I gotta go.
So, do any of the panelists want to address that?
Yeah, in response to that, I just want to say that, you know, the coalition that I'm a part of, we do actively get involved, and you know, we organize events like this. We hold educational programs, and you know, also with the political party I'm a part of, our whole stance on that is to stand up and fight against imperialism, because, you know, Native people can only do so much when the problem is systemic, and you know, the weight of the world is stacked against you. And that's why we do what we do. We organize people, and we try to bring awareness to the situation and get people involved. Protests, demonstrations, everything.
I think it's important to understand, this comes back to that colonization question, is that when the U.S. government said, okay, you can be sovereign nations, They said, you can be sovereign nations only under our guidelines. Right, so you have to have a government that reflects ours. So as nations, we weren't allowed to carry on our traditional ways of governance done by white men. Because white men can come onto the reservation, do harm in whatever way they choose, and they can leave. The tribal government cannot touch them, and because it was on a sovereign nation, the governments in the US cannot touch them. So this is one of those things, before we were colonized, we didn't even have words for rape. So these are the things that we, when we talk about decolonizing, we can work with nations to bring those back. And we can ally with people to help us do that. So these are important. It's important to have history and connections around why we're in the position that we're in today. It is no accident.
I think it's all great. I just want to say one other thing too, that, I remember helping some tribes when they were trying to gain recognition as tribes so they could become sovereign nations. Sovereign nation, bullshit. They're not sovereign. We as Indian people are not sovereign. Indian people, when do we get a right to vote? I mean, what? They wouldn't even let us vote, for crying sakes. They were sterilizing our Indian women up to 1988, 89 without informing our Indian women. How can a doctor do that? Of course, we're not human beings, I guess. One of the other things I forgot to mention, and I should mention, is that Sam English and a group of Indian people are trying to form a national, it was incorporated as a National Native American Healing Center through the Performing Arts. An organization that deals with historical trauma through the performing arts. What happened to it? Run by Indians, money solicited by Indians, the whole 9 yards. It could be ours. And I gotta tell you, in this country, we have nothing like that, but everybody else does. Honest to God, everybody, these billionaires and millionaires give people money, but they don't give any to the Indians. I always wonder why the hell they never give us any money. Why don't they trust us to do something? Never. All those rich billionaires running around are more likely to give $1 million to some dance club down here run by non-Indians than give us anything. Nothing. And I talk about that, and I look at Indians, and they say, oh, well, don't worry, we're going to get a government grant. Who gives a shit? Get rid of it. We want to be self-determining, and what was mentioned about, Sam mentioned about becoming sovereign nations. We really need to be truly sovereign and deal with this government as a sovereign nation. The Senate, everybody. We cannot continue under this situation. We're dying. And that whole issue with water rights, they're gonna freeze these guys out. Because that's what they do for money, mostly, and a little water. You go down to you go down to Arizona, Phoenix, and all the places down there, those tribes have water running through their reds out in the desert. They planted, they grew crops. And then 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, they built dams and diverted the water to canals so that white people could grow their orchards and screw the Indians. And I seen a mural down there that showed that. They were prosperous, green. Then the canal, the river got diverted, and there was a dam built, and from there on down the res was poverty, alcoholism, you name it. And nobody said anything. Don't get it. And besides, I said I was hungry. Yeah, I appreciate being here. Thank you all.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up the discussion for now, but everybody's more than welcome to stick around and make some connections, and speak to each other, and you know, also try to get things going. But before we leave, I'd like to have David Hill come up here. David Hill would like to say a few words about Leonard Peltier.
Listening to the talk, and it reminded me of a lot of things. My name is David Hill. I'm a Choctaw from Oklahoma, and I've been involved with the American Indian movement since way back in the beginning. I'm the same age as Sam here that just left. And I was at the Bureau of Indian Affairs takeover in Washington, D.C., the Castleton blockade in Minnesota, the Wounded Knee takeover, riot in South Dakota, riot in Custer, South Dakota, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where was on trial for the riot in Custer. The list goes on, and I've been indicted several times by the FBI and stuff. So I'm familiar with those things. And with the Peltier thing, I knew him before he went to prison. I don't know how many of you know who Leonard Peltier is. He's a man who was involved in a shootout on a reservation in 1975, June 26, 1975. And the Indian people there were attacked by the FBI. Some agents come in there without any notification, without any obvious cars with anything on them, without clothing denoting who they were. And they started a firefight, and eventually there were 250 agents involved in it. 2 agents were killed and 1 young Indian man was killed. And 2 guys went on trial for that prior to Leonard Peltier. And the defense put on a trial trying the situation, the climate of fear that was caused on the reservation by the FBI, where Indian people had already been killed. There had been drive-by shootings by the puppet government there. And I heard people here talking about the puppet governments. What we have on reservations is puppetocracy. You get to vote for the puppet of your choice. You know, in 1934, I believe it was, 34, 32, somewhere along there, the United States passed an act called the Indian Reorganization Act. Prior to that, the tribal chiefs and headsmen were in charge of what took place with Indian people. They had their own government. But once they passed that, then they set up these tribal governments just like they have all over the world. Most people don't know that there's approximately 190 other nations in the world that are recognized. And the United States occupies 150 of those. They complain about China. China occupies none. You know, we have troops deployed in 150 of the 190 nations. There's 50% of the money spent on military spending throughout the world is spent by America. China spends 4%. England a similar percent, and all these other countries. But America spends 50%. They're talking about the pressure or the violence against Indian women. It's 10 times more than any other group in America. Our youth are sent to prison 7 times more than other groups. Our young kids underage are tried as adults 3 times more. In Oklahoma, there's more women in prison than any place in the world per capita. And I think we're the 2nd largest prison population. You know, and you know, we're talking about activism and making a difference. You know, when you become an activist and you really stand up and talk back, you know, you become a target by the government. And the most difficult one to deal with is the people they send after you from your own group. They will sabotage you. They'll get some member of that other person's family in a position to where they have to negotiate, and they say, well, if you'll give us another name, or if you'll say this about that person to try to get them killed, or you try to get them in a situation where nobody will trust them and they can't organize. Those are the things you fight against when you're an organizer, and it happens over and over, and that's the most difficult to deal with. You know, they'll try to brand you as a operative or a snitch or an informant or something like that. They'll try to end it for you. You know, but the thing is that don't do anything that's wrong. It might be illegal as hell, but don't do things that are wrong. You know, And if you do something that's illegal, don't tell anybody. You know, we're talking about when people first got involved as an activist. I first got involved when I was about in the 7th grade. My dad wouldn't send me to boarding school. I wanted to be around other Indians, you know. I really didn't know what it was to be Indian at first. Yeah. I remember they were talking about Indians in school, and I first got started about being Indian. I went home and asked my dad where the elephants were. And he says, "Let me talk to you, son." And so, you know, things started changing. But, you know, the point I'm trying to make is, you know, when you become an activist, I think you really truly find some place in your heart that you believe in it spiritually. You know, something between you and the Creator. You need to develop that relationship yourself. Don't wait for somebody to tell you how to do it. You know, seek it and you'll find it. You know, you'll find the truth. Seek the truth. And the truth belongs to all people. It doesn't matter whether they're a Christian, a Muslim, or an Indian, or whatever they are. The truth belongs to all people because it's the basic law of the Creator. You know, and find that. And you will be harassed if you become, you know, an activist. You don't have to be well educated. I've got a GED, and I'm a PhD from Oklahoma in bovine containment as post-hole digger. You know, and in my travels, you know, involvement over the years, I've been arrested for riot, arson, conspiracy, assault with a dangerous weapon, interstate flight to avoid prosecution, possession of firearms on indictment for felony, interstate transportation of firearms on indictment for felony. They tried to indict me for bombing Mount Rushmore Visitor Center, the BI building, the police transformer on Pine Ridge Reservation, the Law and Order building on Pine Ridge Reservation, the FBI office on Pine Ridge Reservation, and I think it's a courthouse or something. But and stealing 1,500 pounds of dynamite. And you know, those are all trumped up charges and stuff. And they tried to, you know, well, I went on trial a couple times, but I always won. And you know, it's difficult to be an activist, but if you believe in a Creator and you believe in doing what's right, there's something about it that's rewarding that I can't explain. You know, and I really am disappointed with the Christians. Really. I mean, they're the dominant religion in this country. And they don't stand up for anything. You know, I mean, they make gay marriage and abortion issues. When you got people suffering, you know, they didn't stop Bush from bombing little children in Iraq and Afghanistan. They don't pay any attention, like the brother was saying about the children who commit suicide on the reservations. You know, these things go on, you know. And, you know, being an activist, you will be targeted. But if you stand up and say your prayers and do what's right, and one of the first things you need to do is educate yourself. Find out what the truth is, and find out what your truth is. And our war, it's a war. It's not just a struggle. It's a war against what's wrong, you know. And the war isn't with color or culture, whatever. It's against gluttony, those who take more than they need. It's against ignorance. It's not against a color. It's not against a white man or a red man or a black man. It's those who take more than they need. Even the Christian Bible says gluttony is a sin. That means taking more than you need. And our people, taking more than you need is wrong. You know, and that's the reason for all the encroachment, all of the wars and stuff that are going on in this nation. And we need to, we need each other. We need to network with each other. And you want an exciting life, become an activist and try to make a difference. And you'll find some excitement. That's what Leonard Peltier's in prison for. You know, 2 men were acquitted by reason of self-defense. That trial that took place, you know, was based on the fear and terror that took place. And where all the evidence was presented, those men were freed. They moved Leonard Peltier's case to another judge who met with the FBI, met with the prosecutors. That's all illegal. They had an FBI agent come in and lie on the stand. It's proven later, saying a gun matched this bullet and all that kind of bullshit. And later it was proven, and he's still in prison. So by all the criteria that a person that denotes a trial in this country. Leonard didn't get a trial. And people concentrate on the man Leonard Peltier. They need to be concentrated on the case of Leonard Peltier, because that affects you no matter what color you are. And right now, this country's passed the Patriot Act, or what they call it, they got a really good way of calling stuff Patriot Act and Terrorist Act and all that kind of stuff. And what it means, they can come in your house when you're not there and search the sucker and not tell you about it. They don't need and they can arrest you and take you and hold you. There's not many cases of it known right now, but they can take you and hold you without telling anybody. You don't get a judge, you don't have to be charged. And they can hold you. There's men in prison right now that were Black Panthers that they have served their time, and they've branded them as terrorists, and they will not release them. Leonard Peltier's been in there 30-something years, and every piece of evidence used to convict him has been proven false in court, and he's still in prison. There should be riots over that. You know, you talk about revolution. Revolution isn't just to stop something. It's to take it in a circle. And in our culture, everything is based on the circle. You know, the earth is a circle. The TVs are round. The whole guns are round. It's all based on a circle. You know, and the circle is living in such a way that the world, the earth, nature, will renew itself every spring. And that's what our culture is about. And it's not just another way of living. It is the way of life. Not just another way of life, the way of life. Because I don't care what religion you are, if you don't live like that, eventually, your people won't exist anymore. You won't exist anymore. And you can take from the earth all you want, but if you don't give back, sooner or later the earth is going to get it back. And they're talking about 2012 right now and changes and stuff. One of my brothers said he'd be disappointed if it doesn't change. But we have a lot to fight for. We have a lot in common, you know. And you've got to learn to love the earth. You know, that's what the Creator's about. That's what life is about. You know, and I'm nobody from no place in Oklahoma. I've been involved in a lot of stuff all across the country. And I've been the director of the Peltier Defense Committee twice, and still work with them all the time. And we did horse rides from Warm Springs, Oregon to Washington, D.C. for Leonard. And one of the things about being an activist is you need to keep it interesting and feel rewarding about it. And don't destroy yourself doing it. You know, find a place in it where you can enjoy what you're doing and feel good about what you're doing. You know, because if you take off on it and just start saying, oh, I'm going to give my life to this and I'm going to die for this, the Creator doesn't want you to die for it. He wants you to live for it. You know, live for your people. Live for the future. All right, thank you.
Thank you, David. So I'd like to thank everybody for showing up, all the speakers. You know, we're really happy that everybody got to do that. And before everyone leaves, Ken would like to mention something here. Ken Ellis is one of our allies in the struggle against police brutality.
Hi guys, yeah, my name's Kenneth Ellis, and my son was the Iraq war veteran that was shot and killed by APD in January of 2010. And since that happened, I've been campaigning to get DOJ to come here. And they're here. So, what they want from the community is they want the community to call them and tell them which case you guys have. I mean, they need to know where to look, where to investigate. There's so much out there that they don't know where, you know, so everybody can call in that's had, you know, been mistreated by the police or have been, you know, had their butts whooped or whatever by the police. DOJ needs to know that so that they can look at that case file and they can build a history. And there's bad apples, and everybody calls in and they're going to start seeing a pattern with any one particular officer or another. So it's imperative that the community step up and call the federal government, DOJ, and say, hey, this happened to me on such and such date and time. All that being said, I got a phone number and an email address. So I've got these flyers here. So if anybody would like one, I have them. And pass that number around. Let's get these cops put in jail.
Yes.
Hi y'all, I'm kind of new to this game here. I'm just a white guy Pollock. And anyway, I wanted to let you all know that we've got kind of a new kid in town here that I've gotten involved with. And if you have been brutalized by the police, we would like to hear from you. We would like to know what happened to you, get your story out there, get you what, basically our motto is if it isn't published, it isn't public. The name of our website is policecomplaints.info. I'm Charlie Erson. My email is charlie@policecomplaints.info. I'm basically a researcher for the website. I go scour, look, find information on corruption with the police and the police oversight division. Sorry. And I've been taking them to task pretty hard. I don't know if you saw in the newspaper here a couple of weeks ago about the chairwoman of the police commission. There was a couple of news articles written on that, and we've got them on. So we want to hear from you guys, and if something has happened to you recently, we'll help you file complaints, file tort claims, whatever it is. So please contact us, and we want help.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Feel free to hang out.
I should know better too.
Now I'll put $100,000 bail. 3 months of bail.
It's really warm.
My name's Preston. I'm the director of Albuquerque Answer. We felt it was time to bring as many people we could together to hear the stories of these people who we have spoken to tonight about the severe oppression that Native American people face in this country from our government. The history of genocide, the history of denial of rights, the stealing of culture, the suppression of history have to stop. And this is a way to start by bringing people together in a safe place where they can talk about their stories and educate us and build the kind of unity we need to move forward so we can overthrow and change this system.
Okay, well, my name is Angel, and I organize with Answer. We put this together because there's a real need to organize amongst the Native communities and along the other communities, Hispanic, Black, Asian, and we need to do this because in light of the recent election, there's been both parties have been pandering to the same sort of rhetoric. They haven't been speaking for the poor. They've been trying to co-opt movements, so we need to revive the Native American movement. We need to revive the movement for self-determination for Native American people, for Latino people, for Black and Asian people. And we need jobs in our communities. We need education. We need proper housing. We need to put these things out there in the forefront, not just the same rhetoric that the Democratic and Republican Party have, that they're actually going to do something, when in reality they're just waiting to put people in a lull the next election cycle.
Do you think it was a successful event tonight?
I think it was very successful. We had an excellent turnout. We had very articulate speakers who really spoke to the heart of the issues, and we had an excellent question and answer session with a lot of people bringing their activist experience from years and years of struggle, bringing it to this meeting today. Thank you.
Exactly. No.
Go ahead.
Go first. Oh. I'm Amalia Montoya. I'm Mexica and Apache, and here on my ancestral lands. And I came today to participate because I think these kind of forums are absolutely important to moving us towards revolution.
My name is Bethany Woody. I am an activist with the Answer Coalition. I'm Navajo, and the reason we decided to put this on today was because there's a huge Native American population in the state of New Mexico, and we feel that it's not only necessary, it's absolutely essential to sort of revitalize the movement within the state because the numbers are there.
Was today's event successful in your view?
I think today's event was extremely successful. It's one of the best forums that the Answer Coalition has had in New Mexico thus far. We got a really good turnout. We got a lot of really good questions, discussions. We had an amazing panel of speakers, and it was a huge success in my opinion.
My sense was that there was a turning point in the panel, and all of a sudden it seemed like the Answer Coalition folks had created a safe space where people could really make themselves pretty vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Can you follow up on that a little?
Well, I mean, we are fully behind working class people and the issues that surround those people. So, what better way can we grow and build these bonds with people if they can't trust us enough to fully express the issues that mean the most to them?
My name is Joel Gallegos. I organized this event because I feel that it's important that every organization, not only the Answer Coalition, jump on board the struggle for indigenous people's rights, not only here in the United States, but everywhere around the world. And I think that today's event was a really successful event. I was concerned that maybe some people wouldn't care about the cause or wouldn't find it important enough to show up to. And I was really surprised. And what I'm also very grateful for is the amount of indigenous people who did show up. And I was really, really happy about that. Because if we're going to have an event voicing our concerns about the Native American community, I feel that it's really important to have people from that community show up and show their support and really kind of tip their hat to us, because without that sort of support, I mean, we wouldn't think that we did a good job. So I'm really glad that that was the case.
If people want to get involved or learn more, what should they do?
If people want to get involved, the best thing to do is just get out and do it. But if you want to get involved with the Answer Coalition, you can go to answercoalition.org, find out about our branch, find out about a branch close to you if you don't live in New Mexico, and just get involved with any sort of group that speaks to you, a group that is fighting for people's rights, whether it be indigenous people or any other oppressed nationality.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
My name is Sam Gardapi, and I came this evening because I wanted to listen to issues that have affected Native people's lives in this town, as well as nationwide, as well as worldwide. And I came also to see if there was what's the word am I looking for? A concern about a movement here, a Native movement here in Albuquerque.
Were you happy with what you found tonight?
Yes, actually I liked everything I heard. I mean, everything made a lot of sense. I have experienced a lot of things that were said, as far as discrimination and, treated as second class or not good as, and it was really relatable. I mean, feel that we need to organize and connect and network with all groups here in town. It's not all about, you know, what's happening with just us, but it's about what's happening to the people in general. You know, people are always talking about a race war, but I don't believe that'll ever happen. I think it's going to be a class war because you have haves and have-nots, and we've seen the results of it just during this last presidential campaign. I mean, they had an idiot running for, you know, the Republican Party. I mean, give me a break, you know. It's like the guy had no clue as to what was happening with people like us, you know, poor and, you know, who don't have a job and things like that. Yes, I mean, give me a break. Everybody needs to understand that in this country, we're all in it together. We all need to work with each other. We all need to move ahead and make this a better world for our children and our grandchildren.
That's a beautiful sentiment to end it with. Could you just do me a favor and spell your last name for the camera?
My last name is Gardipe. My first name is Sam. I'm a Pawnee, Sac and Fox, Oklahoma.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.